Hi, this is Shotgun Tom Kelly, and now that I have your attention, you wanted to be close to him in the dugout during his impressive 15-year Major League career because he was always watching, listening, and looking for an edge. Now, Kurt Bavacqua brings that edge to Dirty Kurt's Dugout, where you can listen, watch, and be a part of the most honest, informative baseball show available today. Now, here's Kurt.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd watch nowadays. Hi, folks. Kurt Bavacqua here. Welcome to Dirty Kurt's Dugout. What I mean by that is the only thing you have to look at is the catcher pushing buttons because that's where it's gone to. But the thing I did notice over the weekend, in this being Major League Baseball's first weekend of the 2022 season, welcome all you baseball fans out there. If you're Dodger fans, it was so-so. If you're Padre fans, it was a good weekend. If you're Tampa Bay Ray fans, it was a great weekend because they remain the only team in Major League Baseball with an unbeaten record. With that said, thank you to Hacienda Casablanca, Cindy and Tony out in El Cajon. What great Mexican food. 700 North Johnson. And also our good friends at La Cima Oil, Balboa Chevron, where, guess what I got for you today? Or someone, a lucky listener. $100 gas card. Be giving it away in a little while, or at least, hopefully, if you can come up with the correct answer. Steve, welcome. How prevalent was sign stealing in my career? It was prevalent. It was something that was an art form. We took pride in being able to steal signs. I'm not talking about the catcher signs to the pitcher. That was pretty simple. And if you notice, nowadays, it got to a point last year where Kenley Jansen from the Los Angeles Dodgers actually balked with a man on second base purposely so that the runner would go to third and he didn't have to worry about him stealing signs. I had seen it all when I saw that, and it wasn't a mistake. The Dodgers did it purposely. And John's telling us from over in the Northeast that the Red Sox aren't using electronic signal calling. They're probably afraid, John. They got away in 2017 with the stuff that they did, and they don't want to have any eyes on them, so they're not even going to use it. I'm kidding. They were never found to have done anything like the Houston Astros did in 2017. But there was word out there that there were quite a few teams that were doing it. And I believe that. Look at all the pitchers that were using pine tar before they came up with the rule last year that they're going to check pitchers coming off the mound. I had no idea that it was as prevalent as it was. I'm talking about foreign substance on the baseball. Crazy. Hey, if you're a West Coaster, Sean Manaea and Yu Darvish are in the house for the San Diego Padres. These two guys combined in back-to-back games of throwing 6 innings of no-hit baseball before giving way because of the pitch count to poor Tim Hill, who came in both games and proceeded to give up a hit to the first hitter each day. It, you know, I don't even look at no hitters counting when it's a combination of multiple pitchers. But those guys pitched really, really good. And Sean Manaea looks like the real deal to me. I mean, I've seen him pitch for the Oakland A's a few times in the last couple of years. And he knows how to pitch. And so does Yu Darvish. And if this Padres staff can get a little more help from the Musgroves and the Blake Snells and the Clevingers, Mike Clevingers of the world, who Snell and Clevinger, of course, Snell was scratched from the start yesterday. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. It's one of my aha moments of the day. And I have to mention it because I've got a gripe. You know me with my gripes. So I want to hear from you guys about the first weekend of baseball, what you thought of it. Electronic call signaling is a thing. There's quite a few teams that are using it. It's kind of a robo kind of sounding. If you had a chance to watch MLB Network today, if not, then you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But Harold Reynolds and Plesac were in the studio, and they were actually going over what it sounds like. And Harold had it on his wrist, and he pushed a button, and it had a mic down there. Plesac was on the mound, and it would say slider low and away. It's pretty specific. So that's what the catchers are seeing on their little wristband that they have down there that you're seeing them push on. And the pitcher is actually hearing a robotic type voice, fastball, high and inside, change up, low and away. That's what they're hearing. It's pretty interesting. Steve Preston's telling us that his Reds performed surprisingly well. Yeah, they did. But you know what? I don't take the first weekend that seriously, although there were a lot of things being said on the network this morning, and the network, I'm talking about MLB, where they're talking about the Phillies having the best three hitters in a row in baseball with Schwarber, Castellanos, and Harper. Hey, I agree 100% that these guys are three good players. But I don't know. If I had a choice between those three and Betts, Trey Turner, and Freddie Freeman, I might go with those three guys. So John says that he thought the umpires were better at calling balls and strikes that I've seen in a while, at least during the Pirates, Cards, and Yankee Red Sox series. Yeah, I think that's an important point, John, is at least during those series, because you've got different umpire crews, you've got different umpires. And I used to be so hard on umpires. And now I've got to tell you, when I slacked off a little bit, life became a lot better for me. And I came to respect them a little bit more because of the tough job that they have. But I will tell you, if you watch and you sit and you watch a game on television and you see a ball that is just outside the box. I mean, it just barely misses. And an umpire calls that a strike. I don't look at that as being bad. You got to remember, if the umpires are good behind home plate, they're at about 93%. So in other words, they might miss 7 out of every 100 pitches thrown. And that's a guy on the good side of things. So when you see guys that are calling the ball and it's right outside the box, if we come way over, I can't even do that. I don't even know how to do it. If we come there, if you get the ball and it's right outside the box that you see on TV, that's the box. It was a bad display, but you get my purpose. If you see him calling that a strike, that tells me right away that it's a pitcher's umpire. Joe West was like that. Nestor Shylock was like that. Bruce Fleming was like that. There are umpires throughout my career up to now that you can almost tell after the first couple of innings, you got to give them a couple of innings to really see where they're coming from with their balls and strike call, because sometimes they're just going to miss one. Catcher might block them out. They might be set up on the inside and the ball might be on the outside. They might miss the call. So you got to give them a couple of innings. And then if you see umpires that are calling a ball that's on the plate, a ball, that's good for the hitters. It's really good for the hitters. So I mentioned, if you're a Padre fan, the great games that Yu Darvish and Sean Manaea threw. And then Musgrove, there was all this talk in San Diego about the Padres' first no-hitter thrown by a guy that's from San Diego in Joe Musgrove, following the Darvish and Manaea start, that they left the game with no hitters. So naturally, everybody's talking about, oh, Joe Musgrove's going to, here's another no hitter. I don't know why people think this stuff. He gives up a hit in the first inning, second hitter, and that's the name of that tune. And, I was glad. I was glad it was over. I was tired of hearing about it. You knew that neither Darvish or Manaea were going to go the 9 innings. And in my mind, that's what needs to happen. I don't even look at a pitcher going 8 innings and giving away to a closer and having him close it out and it being a solid no-hitter to me. So the Padres go 3-1 over the weekend in the opening series of the year against the Diamondbacks. The game one was a bad way to start. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the game or hear about it, the Padres are winning 2-0. This is in the Darvish start. I mean, the D-backs had no chance against Yu Darvish. He was getting ahead of them in the count. He was throwing all his pitches for strikes. They had no chance. He had them all off balance. And then naturally it just continued on the next day. But Tim Hill comes into the game. He's a kind of a slinger, left-handed thrower. He gives up a base hit. And then Johnson comes in the game and throws superb innings. And then the aha moment, as I say, or the first moment of the year, which I will get to in just a second. But I want to mention, because of the Blake Snell injury, and that's something else I'm going to get to. I keep putting this stuff off, but I have to, because I want to get to Nick Martinez starting tonight against Alex Wood up in San Francisco, where the temperature's about, and the wind chill is about half of what it was in Arizona for the last few weeks where the Padres have been. San Francisco has been over there naturally as well. But, it's only like 50 degrees up in San Francisco, and it's windy, and it's just not nice in San Francisco at certain times of the year. But it's a great talent. It's a great town if you want to go up and catch a series, because it's also a great ballpark. So it's been a surprise. There have been some big surprises for the San Diego Ball Club. I don't think this pitching was as much as a surprise as everybody thought, but guys that are answering the call at the plate. I mean, this Jorge Alfaro kid, wow. What a great job he's done behind the plate and swinging the bat well, along with who thought that Jerickson Profar was going to be the guy to hit the first 2 Padre home runs of the year. And one of them yesterday goes grand slam. So it's been great. Eric Hosmer's been swinging the bat well, playing one heck of a defense. And again, this is just the first series of the year. So we'll see what happens. But I hope there was a fire lit under Eric Hosmer with all of this trade talk, and he's somewhere where he wants to stay, because I got to be honest with you, the players really stuck up for Eric Hosmer during the time where those trade talks were going on with the Pittsburgh Pirates for the Reynolds, the outfielder. And there were quite a few guys in the Padre clubhouse that really said some nice things about Eric Hosmer, which made me think a lot better of the clubhouse situation, because I was iffy about that. So 9th inning comes around, right? In the first moment of the year for me. I'm not saying it's a moment for you. It's just me. So I'm sitting watching the game, and everybody that's come into the game has just shut down the D-backs. Commercial break comes back. There's a kid on the mound. Never seen him before. I say to myself, who is this kid? Suarez. Robert Suarez. So before I even had a chance to look into him, he's out of the game. And Craig Stammen comes in, throws 2 baseballs, and the game's over. It was one of the craziest things I've seen in a long time. How quickly it happened. So my moment is the Padres, all they had to do, I'm thinking, all you got to do is dip into that historic Hall of Fame bullpen. Fingers and Gossage, Hoffman, Houston Street, Kirby Yates, Heath Bell, Randy Myers, Melanson last year. And let's not forget Butch Metzger, the 1976 Rookie of the Year. And what about Mark Davis, who a lot of people forget about here in San Diego and throughout baseball? In 1989, won the Cy Young Award for the San Diego Padres in their bullpen. The San Diego Ball Club has had some great relief pitchers. And now they've got another one. Taylor Rogers, who just came over from the Minnesota Twins. And he was in uniform that night. I'm going back to the first game in Arizona. My moment. So what are we getting from, not from, what are we getting when we have AJ Preller and Bob Melvin? And I say that with all due respect. There was speculation and a lot of talk about the last 4 or 5 years here in San Diego with Andy Green and Jace Tingler, that the lineups and the moves during the game were being made by upstairs. Baseball ops. I'm not saying AJ Preller's sitting there and he's telling the manager how to manage the game. What I am saying is that the baseball ops department is there on their computers. And if a situation came up in the game that calls for analytics, they're going to send that information downstairs. So you bring a kid into the game in the 9th inning of opening day who has never pitched in professional baseball in the United States before. Never. Never signed a professional contract. Signed and went to play in Japan because evidently there was no interest here in the U.S. or scouts just flat out missed him. And I'm not getting on this kid. He throws the ball hard. He was at 99. Walked the first 2 hitters, hit the third one. He was gone. Stammen comes in, ball in the dirt, gets by Nola, 1 run scores. Next pitch, Beer hits a home run into the right field seats. Rookie. On a changeup. I hope the Padres remember that. So getting back to Melvin and AJ Preller. We all know about the speculation. And I love how AJ was focused 100% in that picture, but Bob Melvin's kind of out of focus. I don't know what that means. I don't think it means anything. I'm trying to create stuff here. I'm a good creator of crap, if you know me. So my question is, who made the call to put Robert Suarez in the game? Because I got to tell you, I can't imagine a veteran manager pulling a kid that's never appeared in a professional baseball game in the United States out of the bullpen to pitch the 9th inning of opening day with only a 2-run lead. I just can't imagine it. What I can imagine is the top 3 hitters in the D-back lineup are all guys that can't catch up to a 96 or 97, 98 mile an hour fastball. Bring Suarez in. That's what I can imagine or pictured in my mind after I had an opportunity to swallow everything I just saw happen. I mean, it was unbelievable. I can't imagine the sleepless night that Melvin, the coaching staff, AJ Preller, and every other person that had anything to do with the Padre and baseball operations, and Peter Seidler and Eric Rupner, everybody that was watching the game along with me, because I know the emptiness that I felt. So, with Bob Melvin coming from Oakland, Moneyball, being there for 11 years, it's a long time, with speculation that lineups are sent down from that front office to the field. Heard Dave Roberts last year admit to that the Dodger front office was sending down lineups to him. So what are we getting? Well, I tell you what. In retrospect, I still don't know who made the call. And I'm not going to speculate. And I'm not going to ask anybody because you're not going to get the right answer. Bob Melvin's going to take the grief for it if you want to look at it that way. So we'll continue to watch this. And, you know, I might have opened up some of your eyes where, oh, I didn't think of that. Or why would they not bring in someone else from the bullpen? Lamet. Somebody that's been there before, at least. Well, we got Nick Martinez tonight, who's been in Japan the last few years. But at least he's pitched in the U.S. and pitched well in spring training. So this brings me to the Blake Snell, where I think a rule has to be changed. I know that got you to sit up and take notice. So according to Bob Scanlon, who's one of the Fox Sports San Diego broadcasters, a sideline guy, very knowledgeable baseball guy, used to pitch in the big leagues, quoting Elias Sports Bureau. This is on his Twitter. Blake Snell did not take the mound, so Nabel Krismat gets credit for the start. Gets credit for the start? Krismat is not a starter. Blake Snell's penciled in. As a matter of fact, Blake Snell got credit for an appearance, according to Elias Sports Bureau. But Krismat got credit. Did he really want it? For the start. And Austin Adams, who came in, relieved Krismat, who did a wonderful job, by the way. 3 innings, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. He did a great job. Austin Adams comes into the game, pitches 1 inning. And the official scorer gives him credit for the win. Rule 9.17, call the commissioner's office, call your governor, B and C too. It's got everything to do with one another, where the starting pitcher has to go 5 innings. We all know that. Well, with pitching the way it is today, they have to change that rule. And if a guy's scheduled to start and he's down at the bullpen warming up and comes up with an injury and they got to call somebody out of the bullpen to come into the game, he's not a starter. He's a relief pitcher coming in to start a game because a guy was injured. Krismat should have been credited with the win yesterday and not Adams. So, I'm going to spend the last couple of minutes of the show asking you, do you have that question, Joe, or am I just supposed to ask people? Who is the sixth? There you go. Highest paid Cincinnati Red player. Who is it? It says who was it, but who is it? First one that comes up with the answer that hasn't won before, I will send this $100 credit card to. Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve, have you won before? Is this the Steve from Detroit? I don't know if, because he's right. So if he's won before, and this is the same Steve that won a month ago. Oh, he lives in Cincy. Okay, you're good. Congratulations. So he's listening pretty closely to the show because Ken Griffey Jr. at 3.6, approximately 3.6 million remains in the top 10 Reds. I know. Yeah, Griff, it's been a while since he played. He's already in the Hall of Fame. So that'll tell you how long ago it's been since he's put on a uniform and swung the bat. But he still, because of the way his contract was constructed, and give him and his agent credit, don't bitch and moan about it, he's still making $3.5 million a year. Good for him. So congratulations, Steve. Lives in Cincy. They had a good weekend. They did have a good weekend. Padres, Giants coming up here pretty soon if you're on the West Coast. All of you Midwesterners and Easterners, there you go, Joe. Thanks for doing that. I probably would have not even told him what to do. Email San Diego Radio Joe at gmail.com, and we'll get this card out to you with a thank you from me. Appreciate you watching the show. Thank you to everybody for watching the show today. And tune in to our next show, which we will be posting. I have my kid's right in the middle of his college season right now. And they've got some pretty important conference games coming up. So I'm trying to leave this schedule a little open so I can just jump and go watch at any given moment. And then naturally it's tax season. So I don't have to tell you about that. But I want to thank everybody again. I want to thank our sponsors, Hacienda Casablanca out in El Cajon, Tony and Cindy. And Joe, we got to get out there and do a show. I don't know if they're ready for us to do a show, but we got to go out there and have a watch party for sure, because I love going out there and eating and watching the game. So if you are out there, 700 North Johnson in El Cajon, and you get an opportunity to say hi to Tony or Cindy, tell them that Joe and I sent you. And if you get an opportunity to go by Balboa and Genesee, stop at the Chevron station right there, 15790 Balboa, and fill up your tank like I do, because Tom Drake's a good man. Lacima Oil Company is good company, and you got to buy your gas somewhere. And as much as I would like to think so, it's not a whole heck of a lot cheaper in all of these different areas. You know, I saw it, was a Shell station up in Encinitas. There were two of them across from one another, both Shell. And the difference in the gas prices were 20 cents a gallon. I mean, if you're going to throw 20 gallons of gas in your car, you know, that's a pretty good reason to go left instead of right. So I sometimes I wonder about gas stations. I got to talk to Tom about that. See if I can learn a little trick. So again, I appreciate everybody listening and watching, and keep your ears open, because we may pull something out of this show for our next card, which will happen soon. So for producer Joe, and for Hacienda Casablanca and Lacima Oil Company and the Chevron people around town, this is Kurt Bavacqua saying, until next time, everybody, enjoy the game, and we will see you soon.